Welcome, welcome, welcome to this edition of Sagionic 1027. We are so glad that you decided to join us today and with us. This is a first for me. This is the first time that I've had a professional chef. I've had a caterer, but this is a professional chef, and this is Amy Civica. And I'm so glad that she said yes. So, Amy, welcome to our broadcast today. Thank you for taking the time to spend time with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited and good job on my name. It's not an easy one.
Yeah, I had to do the cheese. Cheese.
Yeah, it's cheese. Think Italian cheese. Exactly. And many
Yeah.
times I just say, just call me the kitchen fairy. It's easier.
I love it. I love it. So since this broadcast is all about you, right? You get to decide where in your life, Amy, would you like to drop viewers? Clearly, we're going to talk about food, but where did that love come from?
Oh, it's a beautiful story. I,
Okay.
I can get choked up just thinking about it because 20 years ago, I hated cooking. I had wanted nothing to do with food, and I found myself living in Italy and married to a man who liked to cook, which I thought was the perfect match. And then he decided that he wanted to go for a second degree, which was I supported, but that meant I had to do the cooking in the evenings. And I practically pulled my hair out trying to learn to cook. And the the benefit that I had though of being in Italy is that the people there love food on a whole different level. We
Mm.
love food on the holidays here.
Okay.
We love
Okay.
creating those meals. The Italians do that every day and 10 times as big on the weekend. It's like our holiday every weekend. I mean, but the beauty of it and what they can instill is the simplicity of it.
Okay.
And so I
Okay.
lived in Italy for 9 years. I slowly soaked up that beauty and that energy and the love for food and simplicity. And I came back to the States and I saw the hecticness.
Ah.
And while I was in Italy, I also didn't want to cook meals every meal because they eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner pretty much at home. They don't have restaurants or fast food. If they're going to grab a slice of pizza or a small sandwich, that's their eating out. So everything's made in home. And mind you, I lived in a smaller town. This wasn't a huge town, which is more like the US. But the kids would come home and the husbands come home for lunchtime. So you are making meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I went from not wanting to be in the kitchen to having to be in the kitchen 3 times a day, overwhelmed completely. And so I created systems for myself to not have to be in the kitchen all the time, to go to the produce market, which was amazing and fabulous because of all the fresh stuff. And you only get fresh stuff that's local. But learning those systems, when I came back to the US and I saw the frantic energy that's around food and dinner time, I thought, I can do something about this. I can help people. And I had many different iterations of how that would be. And then I settled on being a personal chef, going into your home once a week and preparing the meals that you needed to get through your week. And I was going to do it and you didn't have to worry about it. And so I called myself Amy in Your Kitchen, and I was going to be the last kitchen gadget you'd ever have to buy.
I love your mind. I love your mind because you were thrust into an industry, right? And in my mind, I was like, I would say, for the love of Jesus, to cook 3 times a day. Oh my goodness sakes! I raised 6 kids. There's like,
Right?
no, I might as well adopt the phrase, and this is probably going to mortify people. I might as well adopt the phrase being barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, right?
You would have to be. I mean, if you don't have a system, then you do have to be in the kitchen all the time because you are constantly. And what are we always thinking about? Food, how to feed the family, how to feed ourselves. Do we feed ourselves? As women, many times we're feeding everybody else and we're not feeding ourselves. So not only is my passion to help you feed your family, but this is making sure I'm helping you feed yourself as well. So I dove into this with gusto and I thought I can change a few people's world, right? I can't be in many kitchens, but I could be in a few. And it also helped me maintain being in contact with my kids in school. It was a perfect time for me to raise my kids and have this business. And it flourished to the extent that I needed it to.
Okay.
But I had a client that I filled her refrigerator with 21 meals, 7 breakfasts, 7 lunch, 7 dinners. All individually made. All she had to do was take the lid off and start eating, or maybe heat it up. Nothing else.
Okay.
And I would come back to her house every week, and she would eat maybe 5 or 6 of the 21 meals and have me give away the West. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Maybe she had a busy week. But as it progressed, and she kept having me come back, asking for the same thing, I thought, I have to figure this out. If I'm going to help people, maybe this is the next step. And so I dove into the psychology of eating. And why do we crave the things we crave? Why do we resist what we know is healthy? What is that? And why am I feeding this person what she's asking for and she's not eating it? Was crazy.
Yeah.
And so studying the psychology of eating and the way people think, and so many of us, well, all of us actually build up who we are as an eater from the time we are infants. And, we're learning so much more. And as we get older, we learn about the things that pushed us into the places that we are as adults, or shaped us and molded us. And through the psychology of eating, I realized the reason why I didn't like being in the kitchen as a young adult is because my mother had 4 kids, was on a farm, wanted to raise everything herself, from chickens to vegetables to making her own bread. I got fresh bread every week as a grade schooler, and I thought I was the most deprived child ever because I wanted Wonder Bread like everybody else. And so having that experience and being able to look back through my studies in the psychology of eating, I realized the kitchen is a frantic place for my mother. It's stressful. And so that made me go, yeah, no thanks. And I love my mother now. She still has some of that frantic energy, and I've learned how to work with it and to love on her anyways. And I think that experience has helped me understand why people are frantic in the kitchen and why it is so stressful, and to appreciate it, and now to give love. Like, you and I connected because we both have that energy to just push as much love out there as we can. And my message is around food, and we all need food, and everybody would love to have a personal chef, but it's not possible.
That's right.
And I always tell people, it doesn't mean you're going to eat it.
Yeah, I think it's really important what you shared on, you don't have to allow your past to define your future, but you psychologically. I'm Sister Shawn over here is always psychoanalyzing herself, right? I like to go to the root of things. Right?
Yeah.
And so you went to the root of it, and there could be a pun on words because roots are used in cooking, right? But also, instead of, but you figured out how to make it over here, right? So I was a simple cook growing up, like my mom was. I came from a family of 5, so I was a simple cook. I knew how to grate the great food, right? But simple, like you would call it a kitchen cook, a kitchen. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Whatever, kitchen line cook or whatever. But all of my kids, like, they follow recipes. And they all have this palate that is just like, oh my goodness. So, it was too busy. I didn't have to ask their help. Hey, help me do this in the kitchen, because I had it dialed in. How do you, dial it in? And so I love what you're doing. Okay. So from there, once you started studying it, then how did you, so to speak, revise the plan? And now how are we going to continue to come out here with our joy? Because food is love.
Food is love. So through that, I actually created what I call the Food is Love experience.
Okay.
And that is a coaching program. So I went from cooking, and then I ended up, through life circumstances, being able to travel a lot sooner than I had expected.
Okay.
In life. And so I ended up living in Mexico for a couple of years, and I ended up living in Italy for a couple of months. And I was like, well, I can't cook. Whenever I come back to Oregon, I would cook for my clients who, even through COVID, they said, you're not stopping. we need you. Like we'll go crazy, right? If we can't have food. And so I was able to keep my clients, but I put them on pause while I would go and I'd travel for a couple of months and I'd come back. And so I started coaching to support myself. And I thought, well, people they'll learn to cook or they'll love to cook if I could just help them with the psychology side of food. And so I traveled down that path. And the really funny thing is that I have lots of peers in the psychology of eating world who have constantly said, well, we need what you do because everybody wants menus and everybody wants to understand cooking. And so being able to meld those two things, I would give part of my coaching, I would give online cooking class individually. It's like they're in their kitchen and I'm coaching them on what to do. But it was very disjointed and not really part of my program. Like I just thought, well, I just need to change their mind, right?
Yeah.
And so then you're like, oh, wait, the client, this isn't quite working because they just kept asking for, what do I eat every week? And I need menus and I need recipes and I'm so confused and I'm so overwhelmed. And I'll just go do a one of those box, you receive a box and it has all the things you need to make in it, which those are valid. And a lot of times what I help clients realize is that getting good food into you, however you can do that to start is the first step.
Yeah.
And we're all in different places on our journey.
Correct.
And if you could do those recipes and they helped you, you would have confidence and then you would start recreating yourself. So whatever it takes,
yes.
I want to encourage people to figure that out. Now, having said that, I had people asking, okay, but I want you to develop recipes. And then I have other coaches asking for me to develop recipes and nutritionists and health coaches and all these different people saying, Amy, we need you to develop recipes. I'm like, that's not me. What am I going to do? So I finally was introduced to somebody who had a video platform and I had done some cooking videos on YouTube and I never really pursued giving them away or anything. And so I thought, well, maybe this is what I need to do.
Okay.
Actually have a workshop, if you will, that is about meal prepping.
Okay.
And so last July, I approached some people and asked for some investment money and said, this is what I want to do, but I'm going to have a video editor. I'm going to have all these things set in place to just make this go big. And I'll launch by September 1st, right?
Okay.
Give me 2 months.
Okay.
No, life is not that simple. So the really exciting thing is that this Sunday, February 4th, I am launching my Meal Prep Magic community, where as a subscriber, you receive 3 recipes, a shopping list, and a short video on how to prepare all 3 of those meals at once. So you're doing it once a week, and how to my recipes include things like if you have cabbage in one recipe, rather than using a quarter of cabbage and having the rest sit in your refrigerator, you're going to use cabbage in every single recipe. And I'm really good at hiding ingredients, vegetables especially, because I had kids, right? And kids don't always want to eat vegetables. So I am really good at pureeing things and hiding things and using flavors to mask stuff so they don't even know they're eating vegetables. So I'm taking all of the wisdom of my last 10 years. Oh, and really beautifully synchronicity, February 4th, this Sunday, is my 10-year business anniversary. Aww. So the pieces that have fallen into place have just like can get goosebumps, because I know that this is something that is going to help share the burden and create joy in the kitchen for people who don't enjoy the kitchen. And I have a mini series that's actually called How to Love Your Kitchen. And it's had steps and ideas of how to set your kitchen up so that you do like going into it, because a lot of times we're like, well, it's too small, it's too big, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that. There are things you can do to bring joy into your kitchen and make it a space that you desire to be in, at least to get the job done.
Yeah.
And then get out of there and spend more time doing what you really love. But if you learn a system and you have it in an autopilot, you get in there, you get done, and then you leave. And so I'm not here to force loving your kitchen or loving preparing food. but I'm here to help you understand that there's a doable process. It can be done quickly, and then you get to go do whatever you want.
That's right. That's so wise, Amy, because I raised a stack of kids, right?
Yeah.
And in doing so, I cooked every day. And then when they all left, my husband's like, Shawn, you really need to figure out how to cook less. I was trying, Amy. I was trying.
Oh, it's
right?
so hard. It's so hard. I still do the same thing. I have my big pans. I don't want to cook in a little skillet. No thanks.
Right? But then I developed a system that I knew what foods I could cook, and I would spend a day and I would cook, because when the kitchen's a mess, it's easier to cook a couple of meals. It really is. And then I knew I could have dinner, give my husband lunch, because he takes lunch every day, right? Cook dinner, give my husband lunch, and then have one more left over. And if it was a freezable food, I would then put the freezable stuff in. Right in the freezer, and I personally stored mine in a canning jar with leaving room for it to air dry. Right, don't fill it all the way. Let it come out, because the glass is better to store. Right, it's safer for your body. Right, but it does make a difference. Right, and so if people could sit down and hang out with Amy, they could subscribe to you. Right, and then oh my gosh, for this much a week, I can just hang out in the kitchen with Amy. Right, get 3 meals in a week, and then I'm set for the week. Right?
Yes.
Because you can intermix the different meals that you're making, right?
You can.
And so share with viewers some of the feedback that you've gotten over the years in just trying to help people to plan so they don't fail.
Right.
Helping them to plan so they don't fail.
Planning is huge, and finding recipes that meld together is huge. Because like I said, finding that recipe that uses, or 3 recipes that all have cabbage in them, or we create ways to put cabbage in them, so that you're using the whole thing. You don't have pieces of vegetables sitting down there that become science experiments. And ironically, part of my 7-step system, the number 1 step, which people often want to ignore, is clean out your refrigerator.
Yep.
And that seems daunting, but if we do it once a week before we meal prep, if you pull everything out, you'll see if there's something that you half cut up during the week in a quick, grab a snack, half a cucumber's in there, and you'll know you can wrap it into whatever you're making in those meals. So you're using it. And so many people buy vegetables. The farmer's market is amazing for this. You buy these most gorgeous vegetables, and then you put them in the refrigerator, and maybe you ate a little bit of them, but then they all just go to pot because you didn't get to them and you didn't have time. And so if you're, part of my How to Love Your Kitchen, there's an episode on the farmer's market and how to maintain that. One of my business ideas when I first came back from Italy was to be a booth at the farmer's market that took the vegetables that you bought, washed them and chopped them and handed them back to you. But logistically, that wasn't going to work for reasons of approval and all that kind of stuff. So dang it, I would love to do that. But I have clients that either grow a garden, and so when I arrive, they'll literally go out, pick everything that's ripe in the moment, and we'll create a recipe and a whole menu right there. So when you get used to a system and you get used to some basic recipe ideas, you can pull in whatever you need. You can know things that flow, and you have kind of an autopilot sense of what's going on. And I'm sure you understand that concept. Absolutely. Because of the technique that you've put into yours.
Yeah. That's really, and I was thinking, we're both from the Pacific Northwest over here, and I just want to let you know that Sister Shawn over here in her organic backyard has an overabundance of arugula. And have you ever put an arugula? Yum. Have you ever put an arugula flower on a garden? The flowers, OMG, the flowers on an arugula plant. And in the Pacific Northwest, I only planted like 6 little things. They last through the winter. They don't die. And now I have a whole section, because once they start going, I eat them for like 9 months out of the year. I get to go out and pick my fresh arugula every day.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, and I also want to give a commercial for farmers market, okay? Yes. Because why not shop out of your own state, right? Because we live here, right? So if we shop out of our own state, then we are helping our own state to thrive. And I also need to apologize for saying something about boxed items. Please forgive me, viewers, for saying something about boxed items. Sometimes it just slips out of Sister Shawn's mouth. But I think it's good to support our local farmers, right? Because then we're literally is supporting the economy in our own state, right? So,
absolutely.
And I also want to let our viewers know that below this YouTube video, there's a word that says more. If you click on more, you will find access and how to directly get in contact with Amy. Okay, so now break down, once they know how to find you, how would somebody sign up for this? Because this is live in days, right?
In days. In fact, yes, if you go to my website, get on my newsletter, and you will on Thursday receive the recipes. So there's going to be three recipes, a shopping list, and the link. There's going to be a Zoom link for you to come and show up for free this time. And if you come, there's going to be discounts on the forward subscriptions. So come find out all the details. We are going to have a blast. And just imagine you buy groceries, you come cook in a group, and you're going to have food for the whole week. We are making steak stroganoff. We are making a sweet and sour pork, and we are making zuppa toscana. And all of my recipes are gluten-free, just because that simply reaches everybody. And I promise you they are not taste-free because of it. And you can always add some crusty bread to any of this. But most of my recipes will also be dairy-free with an option to add cheese because, I'm Italian. I get to add cheese. Yeah. So, but everything is low sugar. I do all my sauces are from scratch. I have a mini series called Getting Saucy that you get to have if you subscribe for at least the monthly subscription. And that's 12 episodes of my favorite spices and sauce mixes and that I keep on hand all the time to make meal prepping easy. And the very first one is making your own mayonnaise. So it's so key. It's just like growing a garden.
Okay.
Knowing what's in your spice mixes and your sauces is just another piece of that pie.
That's interesting you would say that because I raised a large family, shopped at places that had larger volumes of things. And I remember purchasing an item, taco seasoning. And then I remember thinking, why is this not tasting the way it used to taste? And then I found out that there was a filler of cornmeal in there. So then I went searching where everybody searches on Google, right? To find how to use your homemade taco seasoning, right? But I made it, but there was an ingredients missing. And I'm like, okay, what am I missing? I got to find a recipe that has something that nobody else has. Okay. So then I discovered cacao powder. Right? No. And wait till you hear the next one. The next one, I was like, are you serious? Cacao powder and, not coriander. No, coriander. Coriander and cacao powder. Those were the two ingredients I was missing.
Interesting.
And I would never, coriander to me is Mediterranean or Indian, not taco seasoning, right? But those were so just everybody's palate is different, right? And so, this is great. I am so excited for you, Amy.
Thank you.
Congratulations for staying, for choosing to stay, for choosing to persevere in something that excited you.
It does.
Right?
And I think, I love what you're doing, and I could wherever I land, I have the same heart. This is something that I can share and push out love to people on. And just food is where I was placed. And so that's become my superpower. I am not a fancy chef. I am not watch every cooking videos. I watch some cooking shows out of curiosity. I'm not that fancy. I had even starting my business as a personal chef, ever thought I would want to do cooking videos. Like that was the furthest thing from my head. And it's funny because as we progress and we go down the path that is presented to us and we take in and then give out where we are, I just recently had this idea. You know, I'm this deep into creating videos and feeling like, oh my gosh, this is just about to happen, and it's going to be amazing. And then a thought popped into my head. Well, next I'm going to do a podcast, and then I went, what are you thinking? Get this project done first. I don't want to do podcast. But I will go where I am led to reach the people that I need to reach, and I love being invited to podcasts. That's my thing. I think I prefer. I don't know, but maybe someday I'll be inviting you onto mine. And just it's beautiful because having the heart to reach people, then you get to just see where that takes you, and it's a really fun experience.
That's right. And I see it as if I was to hold a plate up here and spin it, spin the plates, right? I'm just spinning. I'm displaying the carriers of wisdom. I'm spinning them, and then I put them out over here, right?
Yeah.
And then I put them out over here, and then I put them out over here. But I think that just like for you, you know, to go into a pantry, to go into, you know, into a farmer's market, to combine ingredients, right? You made me think of something. I remember when the thought was placed in me one time that, oh man, I can't believe this pepper, I accidentally didn't use it, and it didn't look very friendly, right? Well, so then I thought, I'm going to put it in the freezer. I'm going to stop the aging process. And it didn't go deep. It didn't go deep bad, right? It didn't go compost bad, right? But it kind of looked like you couldn't eat it.
It was wrinkly.
Yeah.
It was a little aged, like we get a little wrinkly. It's okay.
Yeah.
We're still good.
Yeah, so I put it in the freezer to stop the aging process, and then the next time I made spaghetti, I put it in the Vitamix, pureed it, and then threw it in the spaghetti. Right?
Yum.
So gosh, Amy, thank you so much. I'm thinking, okay, I got this son that will do it, and I got this son that do it. Oh my gosh, my daughter would like to do it. And I could put my husband in there, right?
There you go.
Because he loves the cooking shows, right? So I could throw
my
husband in there. And I'm thinking of all these people that I could introduce to Amy.
There you go. That's the beauty of this, and I'm so excited. I know that what I have is going to help people, and I'm just going to keep standing strong in that and keep my head held high. And it doesn't matter if I wasn't going to be a TV chef. Now I'm like, I'm going to have my own TV series someday. So
that's right.
Watch out, world. I want to reach as many people as I can.
That's right. And you will, because did you know that my grandfather had the first cooking show ever?
No, really?
Yes, my grandfather had the first cooking show ever because he was selling cookware.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was he selling?
It was the very first set of the stainless steel pans where you could spin the lid and it would create a suction.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And I don't know the name of the cookie show. I don't remember the name of the cookware, but I do know that later in life, their cookware was picked up by the Amway Corporation, and then Amway's label was put on it, and then they sold it. But it was the Lifetime cookware that some of us still have those pots of
my mother still has some of that. That's what I grew up cooking with, even though, the silver caps had come off, but it was still amazing. And it's still, I still wish I had that one pan to do this thing that I remember doing as a kid, because that was the perfect pan.
That's right. And I grew up on the same bread you did, Amy. And that wonderful, my parents even had a wheat grinder, right? And they ground the wheat and then made the bread, and my mom put delicious real butter with delicious honey on it. And we were wah, because we didn't get the Wonder Bread.
I know. Now I would die to have that fresh bread. Luckily, my boyfriend is a baker, and he makes fresh bread almost every weekend, which is also not the greatest thing at this point. I'm like, okay, I work out all week and we eat so great, and then the weekend it's bread fest.
I love it. So, can you put a little bit of your Italian spin, right? And say goodbye to our greeters, or to our viewers, with your Italian spin to it.
Allora, tutti, mi piace molto parlare con te. I wish you the happiest days and have a beautiful, beautiful day. Mwah.
Oh, love it. So to all of our viewers, I just want to thank Amy Civica.
Mm-hmm.
Civica.
You got it.
Okay. For coming on this episode of Sagionic 1027, and to all of our guests and viewers, may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon thee always. Blessings. Bye.